So I don't know how this watch went under the radar for me, at least until recently, but earlier this year, Mido released the Ocean Star GMT, which is a true or traveler's GMT. You just don't find these watches with a movement like this at this price point, especially a Swiss made watch. So I was really excited to discover this one. Big thanks to my local authorized dealer, Gem Bijou, for lending in the watch. They're an authorized dealer for Mido and many other brands. If you're shopping watches, check them out at gembijou.com. But let's get straight to it and take a look at the watch. So, first of all, this is just a really good looking watch. Nice, clean case design. On the case back, there's some information there on the different time zones and associated cities. So there's also a two-tone version of this watch on bracelet, which looks pretty sharp, and a black and orange also on bracelet, but this blue and black would be my pick of the three. I would prefer if it was on a bracelet, but the strap is a great pairing for the watch too. It's a fabric strap backed with leather. Nice looking strap, actually. It's padded up here near the case. We've got some blue leather details on this section of the strap, as well as the keepers there, and the buckle is signed. Nice solid hardware. The strap is a little stiff out of the box around the padded area of the strap, but I feel like it's going to break in nicely after a few days on wrist. Now, what makes this watch stand out from the crowd is the modified Powermatic 80 ETA-based movement. The movement has been modified, making it a true GMT. So basically, what that means, we'll just unscrew the crown here and pull it out to the first position. What that means is you can advance your local time as you move to different time zones, and you can do that without hacking the movement. You'll usually see at this price point movements like the ETA 2893, where the GMT hand is adjusted in this first position. Watches with these movements are referred to as traveler's GMTs because you're able to adjust your local time on the fly like this. Watches with movements like the 2893 are often referred to as office GMTs. If you're staying put but need to track time zones elsewhere, it's beneficial to have the GMT hand be able to be adjusted in that first crown position without hacking the movement. Both have their benefits, but a true or traveler's GMT is much less common at this price. One thing you might have noticed with the watch is the GMT hand does have a little stutter to it as you adjust the local time. You can see here there's a bit of a bounce to it. I actually had two of these in hand just to double check. Gem Bijou had two models and I tried both. Both had that same stutter. So I think you'll find you'll run into that with all of these movements. But if you have one and that's not the case, definitely let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, the watch works fine. The crown is a screw down crown. Winding action is good. Just going to screw it back in here. And one thing that's pretty cool is the crown is completely protected by the crown guards. It's almost totally flush with the crown guards when it's screwed in. It looks like it might be hard to get a hold of, but it's quite large, so no problems with that at all. The dial is a matte black with applied hour markers, then the chaptering with the markers for your GMT hand. It is split, the upper area being black and the lower blue to differentiate between AM and PM. The handset is quite nice and partially skeletonized. I'd have liked to have seen the hour hand a little longer and reach out to the hour markers, but it's still fairly legible, and I like the pop of blue as well on the GMT hand and the tip of the second hand. The lume isn't the brightest, but it's long-lasting and it's evenly applied. It's got the same level of brightness and fade from the hands to the hour markers. The bezel is a 120 click dive bezel with a blue ceramic insert. I like that they went with the square marker here that matches the look of the square and rectangular hour markers. Good clicky action. And the bezel is quite thick, so it's easy to grip and turn. Size on the watch comes in at 43.7 millimeters. So it's a larger watch, although the lug to lug is pretty manageable at 49.8 millimeters. Thickness is 13.6 millimeters, and the lug opening is 22 millimeters. Water resist on the watch is 200 meters, and the crystal is sapphire. One drawback with the crystal is they've treated it with an anti-reflective coating on both sides. You can see here, works great, but I've owned a couple watches like that, and the outer coating does tend to show scuffs and scratches over time. And here it is on my 7.25 inch wrist, and it wears really well with that 49.8 millimeter lug to lug. It looks and feels a little smaller than the case width would suggest, I find. Cost on the watch is 1190 USD, and if you're on the hunt for a true GMT in this price range, it's almost the only game in town. One watch that competes is the Seiko Sharp Edged GMT. I recently put out a video on that one, and I'll link it below, but I think I'll see if I can borrow one again from Gem Bijou for a side-by-side comparison with this, so keep an eye out for that. So that is it. Appreciate you taking the time to stop by for a few minutes today, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.